What's going on, wrestler family? Welcome back to the channel. This is my first ever video reacting to you guys' hot takes. So I want to thank Alex for the suggestion of this video, and also thank you to everybody who participated. And if this video goes well, I'll make this thing a weekly thing. But without further ado, let's get into the takes. Pat McAfee is already a top 3 all-time commentator. Now, I absolutely love Pat McAfee. He makes every moment that he's involved in so much fun to watch because he has so much fun doing his job, so much energy. One of the best things happening in WWE and the best thing on that commentary team on the main roster, but I can't give him top 3 honors at all yet, because at least the top 5, top 6 are reserved for other commentators that I think are a little bit or a lot more better than he is. Now, don't get me wrong, he is trending up in that direction. Now, if I have to give you my top 5 in no order, it would have to be these individuals: Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler, Brian Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse Ventura, and we can even add Soli in there before we even start to talk about Pat McAfee. But in my opinion, Pat McAfee is definitely trending up. Just giving him a little bit more time, and you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if people start to talk about him being in their top 5 a little bit more. Thank you for the question. My brother Jamal says his hot take is Cody has a longer title reign than Roman did. Wow. That's a hot take if I ever seen one. Now, I see Chicago in your name, so I'm assuming that you and your brother are from Chicago. If so, salute to you guys for representing the city, but this ain't how we supposed to do it. I gotta highly disagree with this hot take here, because think about this. Roman Reigns just came off of a historic title reign for 1,300 plus days, okay? And I can't see WWE turning around, giving the title to Cody Rhodes and having him beat that record, which means he has to have the title for probably 4 years in order to beat that record. Why would they wipe off the record books Roman Reigns like that, or push him backwards after having a monumentous moment in recent WWE history? It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. But also, I believe that Cody Rhodes, whatever they're trying to do with his title run, whatever they want to accomplish with it, I think they can do it within a year and probably a year and a half. At this point, it's not really about having a long title run. It's about having a high quality, entertaining, and prestigious title run at this point. So they got to start, you know, trying to figure some things out with Cody Rhodes. Also, we got some wrestlers as well who I think deserve an opportunity to hold that title, namely Randy Orton. I think he should obviously get a chance. He's not going to be here 4 years later, and the list goes on with that. But at the end of the day, thank you for the hot take. I just gotta disagree with you, bruh. Bayley has been just as boring of a champion as Logan Paul. Mid-tier title defenses, barely any title defenses at all, and I hope they both drop their titles very soon. Wow. Tell me how you really feel. Now, here's the sad thing. This isn't really a hot take. This is kind of the cold, hard truth, okay? I kind of agree with you. I can't say that Bayley's title run has been boring so far, but it has been very underwhelming, and I feel like they lost a lot of steam in the storyline between her and Damage Control leading into WrestleMania. But although her win at WrestleMania was a great moment, and the match against Iyo Sky was a great moment, almost called her Iyo Shirai, I just felt like some steam came out of it. Now, this whole situation is a rare case of where Triple H on the main roster isn't booking somebody properly with a title, and when it comes to, you know, having stories and things like that. And this isn't Bayley's fault. Bayley's doing the best that she can with it, but in a lot of these stories, it feels like if you're not a fan of Bayley, they really haven't given us anything to really care about what she's done. And as you said, she's barely defended this title. She's only defended it twice since WrestleMania. She's had that triple threat match against Tiffany Stratton and Naomi on Backlash, which was a great match, but I feel like the focus was more so on Tiffany Stratton possibly winning the championship and then some fans of Naomi winning it, but we all knew that wasn't going to be the case. And then the match she had against Piper Niven at Clash at the Castle, which was more so about people hoping that Piper Niven would win this from Bayley, and also Piper got one of the best promos of her career in WWE from that, but it didn't really do anything for Bayley at all. So maybe she's just here to enhance the other people, but outside of that, it just, the run itself, nothing really entertaining has really been coming out of this. Now, I think that she's going to lose that title at SummerSlam against Nia Jax, and even in that story, once again, she's second fiddle to what's going on there. People are more focused on the storyline between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax outside of what's going on with the champ themselves. But again, Bayley is doing the best that she can, but I feel like that they could have done a lot more with this, and I don't know what they really could have done. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Seth Rollins saga should go all the way to WrestleMania 41, then concluded in a triple threat match for the world title, and it should main event night 1. Now here's the thing with this, okay? I will have to kind of agree with this, and this is not too much of a hot take. I'll be fine. I mean, you got 3 of the most pettiest pro wrestlers in the world right now in a feud, especially depending on whatever happens at SummerSlam, and I would love to see this happen. Now if they could find a way, because we got to remember, WrestleMania 41 is a ways away. It's about 9 months and some change away. They have to figure out a storyline that's going to keep the fans interested leading all the way up to WrestleMania 41. If they cannot do that, do not do it at all. Let's end it at bad blood and just get it out the way. But if they can find an evolving storyline with these 3 guys involved in it, and even if they want to add a 4th, I think that would be a great idea because the story is already there. You got Seth Rollins going for a title that he feel like he rightfully deserved. You got CM Punk who wants to get a title, which is the best way to keep the title away from Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre trying to go for a title that he's been screwed over for over and over so far this year. So the story is already going to be there. But if you think about this, depending on what happens at SummerSlam, if it is to believe to be so, if that's really what's going to happen with Gunther winning that title at SummerSlam, I mean, how are we going to put that in the mix? Would Gunther be involved in this match? Would it be a fatal 4-way, which would be a banger? I'll be fine with it. But would it be that? Would it be Damian Priest involved in this match? Which I doubt that he's going to hold that title all the way to WrestleMania 41. But then it'll be like, who will be the next champion going into that match as well? So it's always going to be interesting. And if it's going to be a triple threat match for the title, who do you think will be going into this match with the championship on their shoulder? Let me know. But again, I agree with this. If they can do this right, I'm all for it. I'm here for the pettiness. I'm here for the back and forth on the mic. It's going to be fantastic, especially going into SummerSlam. But again, if they can stretch it out, make an interesting story, I'm all for whatever they want to do. I think Damian Priest should beat Gunther at SummerSlam. Prove that his title reign is not a flash in the pan, because to this point his entire run has been basically building to the CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud, and he looks like an afterthought every time because all the people are talking about after Clash at the Castle and Money in the Bank is how Punk screwed McIntyre. What's next for the feud? No one's talking about Priest, still champ, so Priest should win then at Bash with the home field advantage. Gunther wins the title in front of his country. Okay, which I've heard a lot of people talk about, which makes sense. If Gunther does lose at SummerSlam and he gets an opportunity at Bash or Berlin, then Gunther should win it there, or some people believe that he's going to have a match against Ilya Dragunov. Now, that makes sense because the storyline that's being told here, talking about when you're saying that he's like a flash in the pan, in his head, Damian Priest wants to prove that he can win or defend that title without any outside help to make it feel like that he is the actual champion who's a fighting champion who could defend his title without any help. So yeah, that'll definitely help him. If he wins at SummerSlam, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be mad at that at all. And it will make sense for them to get a second match at Bash or Berlin to kind of stretch out the feud a little bit. So it's not necessarily a hot take. I'm not mad at that at all, but thank you for the hot take. I'm not a fan when every NXT star call-up gets booked in a high-profile main event feuds the minute they debut on the main roster. It makes it hard for people who don't watch NXT to get behind these wrestlers. A proper, slow character build is the way to go. Now, I agree with you. I don't believe that every NXT star that gets called up to the main roster automatically gets into main event feuds. I don't think that happens all the time. And we got Kiana James, we got Blair Davenport, we got so many different people that aren't in these main event feuds. But the concept itself, I completely agree with you. You shouldn't have that happen. The only exception to that is once in a blue moon, if you have a situation like Carmelo Hayes when he got drafted to SmackDown and he had that one-off match against Cody Rhodes, and just so WWE can say, hey, this guy is going to be the future at some point. We're going to let him try to go the distance with the champion or one of the main stars just to make him lose and then move on, so we can say we're going to revisit this whole competition thing in the future when we do some stories. But again, I agree with you. They shouldn't have these whole high profile feuds all of a sudden out of nowhere, because the fans who are casuals that don't watch NXT, they're going to be like, why did this person get an opportunity at the title out of nowhere when my favorite wrestler that I've been watching this whole time hasn't gotten the opportunity yet? Then fans are going to turn their back on them, and unfortunately, if this wrestler is a babyface, it's going to be extremely hard for them to get over and for them to be believable. Now, if this person is super talented, if they have a great personality, if their aura is over 1 million, then maybe, but but I still don't want to see that. Any person that comes from NXT to the main roster, they should develop over time and allow the crowd to grow with them little by little. So when they do win that title or they have that high profile feud, the crowd feels like they're being rewarded for sticking with this person this entire time. Once LA Knight wins the United States Championship at SummerSlam, his first feud for that title will be against Jacob Fatu. Now, is this your hot take or is this an absolute fact? But whatever way it is, I don't like it. I really like it. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. But I think if that's going to be the case, I think that's going to be the worst decision they can do for LA Knight. I mean, the worst thing you want to do with him is for him to win that championship at SummerSlam and then get into a feud with Jacob Fatu, which we know he's going to lose that title. There's no way that will make sense for him to retain that title against Jacob Fatu. Manu y manu. Jacob Fatu is too big. He's a beast. He's too good. At least let LA Knight get into a feud with someone where he defends that title and wins that feud, and then if they want him to turn around and then face Jacob Fatu, that would make sense. But if they have it do it where he wins the championship at SummerSlam and turn around and faces Jacob Fatu, then it's going to make LA Knight look like a transitional champion. He's going to make him lose a lot of his reputation. A lot of people who were upset last year that he didn't get a title are really going to be mad this time around. So if they're going to go that route, if this is true, if this is a fact of what they're going to do, they might as well not even let LA Knight win that title at SummerSlam. They might as well just make him lose, make him wait, and then when they're ready to take the title off of Jacob Fatu, because Jacob could just win it off of a transitional champion. Once they're ready to take it off of Jacob Fatu, then have LA Knight win it off of him at that point, and that'll be a great win under his belt. But I would rather LA Knight win it at SummerSlam, have a feud, win that feud, and then possibly face Jacob Fatu, and then he'll probably drop it at that point. But even then, it just, I don't know, it just feels weird. Hot take: Rhea should not win the Women's World Championship from Liv Morgan during this feud. This comes from my guy Kicking It with Leo. What's up, Leo? I am not surprised that this is your hot take, because if it was up to Leo, he loves Liv Morgan. He is loving the fact that she has the championship. He's been waiting for this forever, and if it was up to him, she would have that title long enough to beat Roman Reigns' title reign 5 times over. He wants this to last forever. But you know what? I agree with them when it comes to this iteration of this feud. You know, currently when they're in the process of Rhea Ripley getting kicked out of the group, there is no reason right now for Rhea Ripley to be beating Liv Morgan and all. Now as time goes on, when Rhea Ripley gets kicked out of the group, when she's already stripped of the title, stripped of her boyfriend, she got kicked out of some place, the Judgment Day that she called family at one point in time, and she goes on to this thing where she becomes a babyface when she's rebuilding herself. Not that she has to be a goody two-shoes person, but rebuilding herself and getting better. And as months and time goes on, then, and if Liv Morgan still has that title around like Royal Rumble time, then yeah, it's time for her to take it off Liv Morgan as a redemption arc, as to go full circle. Or if they have Rhea Ripley win at Royal Rumble and then face Liv Morgan at WrestleMania, that could be a case as well. But yeah, right now, this iteration of the feud, I don't think that she needs to be beating Liv Morgan, let alone taking the title off of her right now. Jey Uso and Rhea Ripley? Yes or no? For sure, of course. I know they're both married to other people. I just think it would be fun to watch Jey and Rhea doing the yeet dance together. Yeah, that would be hilarious. That would be funny to see. But in my personal opinion, it'll be fun to see if they just keep it on social media. They shouldn't make it a part of the story at all. Because, you know, I think the storyline that's going on here eventually down the road is for Dominic Mysterio to be doing Rhea Ripley wrong and all these other things. And to see her kind of flirting with another guy, it'll kind of make her look like the bad person. I think they kind of want to make her look like a victim a little bit, not make her look weak, but look like a victim in this situation when she gets kicked out of the bloodline. She doesn't have her title anymore because she got injured, and Dominic Mysterio is leaving her for Liv Morgan. And I don't think that'll work in that storyline. But if they're friends, if they work as friends, that'll be cool to see. I mean, Jey Uso come out with some Waffle House, have Rhea Ripley out there with some braids on and the grill, and they be doing a yeet dance together with the sunglasses. That'll be kind of funny, but I don't know if I really want to see that on TV, but it's a funny thought. Thank you, man. Iyo Sky is the greatest female wrestler of all time. You look at her body of work in Japan and in NXT and in WWE, I said that backwards, she's never had a bad match, and she can cut a good promo. Also, her theme song is a banger. I gotta agree with you, her theme song is a banger. But when it comes to anyone naming someone the greatest of all time, of course, it's always subjective. So if she's your favorite of all time, I'm not mad at that at all. Now, for me, when we look at certain things that you talked about, now as far as cutting a promo, I don't know if she can cut a good promo, but she can cut a pretty decent promo. Also, when it comes to her run in NXT, would we say her run is better than Asuka's run in NXT, which I think is one of the greatest runs in NXT, especially when it comes to the ladies? Let me know about that. But when you come to, you know, talking about Japanese female wrestlers, we got people in that list where, you know, unfortunately Iyo Sky doesn't really touch that list. I mean, we got Manami Toyota, we got who else is it? Yoshida, we got Icho. We got so many different people who are the greatest of all time, and Iyo is like right outside of that list. But if we talk about it in a sense where collectively in all of the different promotions she's been involved in, again, it makes all the sense in the world for you to say that. For me, do I agree with that? Not really. She's up there, but you know what? Like I said, it's always subjective. Some people have different reasons and criteria of what we'll call the greatest of anything of all time. Like when it comes to wrestling, some people would include accolades, you know, and when it comes to accolades, some people would name Charlotte Flair because she's good, she's pretty good in the ring and she has a lot of accolades, or mic skills and accolades, which some people will say Becky Lynch. Some people may say Mercedes Moné, but if she is the greatest of all time to you, I'm not mad at that at all. I don't harshly disagree, but she isn't the greatest of all time to me, and I've been a fan of Iyo Sky for a long time. But thank you for the hot take. Jacob is really working with Roman Reigns secretly, so as soon as Roman returns, Jacob is going to turn his back on Solo and join the Usos and Roman Reigns. Now here's the thing with that. I've seen this rumor going around online a lot because they have this shot on SmackDown where the cameraman is zooming in on Solo Sikoa and somehow zoom in on Jacob, and people believe that the cameraman is telling us that Jacob is going to turn on the group. And I'm not gonna lie, the way Jacob's been overly worshiping Solo Sikoa, being overly extra with it, kind of makes him look suspicious. But the only way I think this will make sense is if you play the number game, because if you have Jacob Fatu go over Roman Reigns, so you have Roman, Jay, Jimmy, and Jacob. You got the 3 J's with Roman, and then you got Solo, and you got the Gorillas of Destiny, and if the Rock is believed to be a part of their whole thing, then you got the 4-on-4. The only part that I think this wouldn't make any sense is because the Bloodline 2.0, they need Jacob Fatu. If he leaves out of that group, it's gonna make that group look so weak. He has so much aura. He's so great in the ring. He is the best thing they got going in that group. But I can see that tonally, I guess with his personality, it doesn't really match up with the rest of the people in the group, and he's way too good to be in that group. But as for now, I think he needs to be in that group, and to see a match between Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns is going to be a banger, bro. If we get it, even if we get like a handicap match between the Usos and Jacob Fatu, that's going to be a banger too. So I would rather him just stay with Solo until they figure out what they want to do with him as a singles competitor down the line. And if Solo Sikoa doesn't get to capture that title and the rest of the Bloodline 2.0 has titles and you see Jacob with a title, I can see where Jacob is like, hey, I did something that you can't do. You can't even win a singles title, and that can create a conflict between those two. But that's a whole lot of different fantasy booking. But anyway, thank you guys so much for participating in this hot takes. If this goes good, if this was a lot of fun, you guys let me know in the comment section, and I'll do this on a week-to-week basis. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate that. Salute, peace, have a good day.